So, Frost has received very little dev attention, and as is usual, we start Frostbolting into Winter's Chill again. Not that surprising, really, with all the talents and everything they've been doing, but we're going to break that down, and this is for, both, Spellslinger and for Frostfire. Spellslinger's looking a heck of a lot better than Frostfire everywhere. This isn't the most up-to-date APL, but it, gets the point across pretty clearly of how much better doing this playstyle is, so I want to talk about why. Because hopefully, when I suppose they nerf this playstyle, they just do it, you know, with some intention this time around. Because what they did in Dragonflight didn't have intention, and their designs going forward haven't really supported the idea that they don't want us to do this. So, let's talk about why does this happen. Normally, it happens when you have a higher importance on Winter's Chill. Right now, for Spellslinger, for instance, splinters are only generated by Winter's Chill. So we really want to be consuming as much Winter's Chill as possible. So we want to generate as many flurries as possible, right? Which means we need to be casting things that generate flurry, of which we only have Frostbolt. For us to have direct impact on increasing our flurry generation, that is only Frostbolt right now. Or historically, also when flurry is a lot stronger than Ice Lance, we just want to generate more flurries, so we Frostbolt more, right? And then you have passive effects doing lots of damage, so we want to shatter them, which historically has been Icicles and Orb, which is obviously a little silly when you start reading what Spellslinger is doing in single target. And that's just because if you Ice Lance into Winter's Chill, the Winter's Chill is just going to go away a lot faster than if you were to sit there, cast Frostbolt again, and then now your Winter's Chill is gone, but it's taken 3.5 seconds for it to disappear instead of 2 from your Ice Lance. So so the reason we do this is different per our hero talents, but you'll see, if you look at Sims, if you want to look, you can see like this Orb has a 73% crit rate, Splinters have a 74% crit rate, Frozen Orb has a 74% or 71% crit rate. You're generating 46 brain freezes with this build, and then if we look down at the default single target for Frost, Frozen Orb has a 20% lower crit rate. Your Splinters have a 14% lower crit rate, but really, Frozen Orb is a big one. Again, 20% lower crit rate here. And then you're generating 20 less brain freezes. The above one had 46, this one has 26. Right? That is almost 100% more flurry generations, right? So you're just shattering a lot more things a lot more often, and it's doing a bunch of damage. And when you go ahead and you look at the damage breakdown for the spec, you'll see why. Frozen Orbs, 12% of your damage. Splinter Storm, if you add up Splinter Storms, Frost Splinter, you add up Splinter Recall, you add Volatile Magic, it's 40% of your damage, right? So having a 20% higher crit rate on what amounts to essentially 50% of your damage is very good, right? So the things that contribute to this for Spellslinger, right, are that we have Splinters doing 40% of our damage, which in Season 1 Dragonflight, it was Icicles doing 41% of our damage. And then we also cast 40 orbs in single target. Okay, 0.5, that is your what you're doing, right? You look here, Frozen Orb, 35 casts and 5 from Cold Front. Okay. The default amount is 6. So, yeah. That's almost a 7 times increase. Just letting that sink in. Just to let you know, if you look, you cast 27 Ice Lances. So you cast almost twice as many orbs that you cast Ice Lances in single target, and it is a significant damage gain. You'd think with this much orb uptime, you would really like Permafrost Lances, right? The new talent they added that makes us have 15% increased Ice Lance damage, multiplicative with other damage amps, right? And we have an Ice Lance tier set. The answer is no. It's not worth it. Use your Frostbolt. Fun. Frostfire also has lots of passive damage effects, which kind of mirrors Splinters and Frostfire Infusion. The fact that Frostfire Bolt has a dot. Not only does Frostfire Bolt have a dot, its dot stacks like Ignite. So it adds any previous damage it had to the next one if it gets reapplied, which makes the dot not trivial. But by making it not trivial, it makes it pretty significant. You can see here Frostbolt does DPS of about 177,000 for Spellslinger. if we go over and open up Frostfire, what you're going to see is that Frostfire Bolt does double that. See, 326,000 DPS. And the reason is primarily because of the stop, which is ticking for 44,000 and has a crit rate of 77% and a 99% uptime. So, Frostfire benefits a little less from this playstyle increase, mostly because it doesn't have splinters and it doesn't have 40 orbs in single target. It's casting 6, the normal amount. So, yeah. But that's the way it is right now. This beats out 2-target Ice Lancing, really. Or at least the standard 2-target Ice Lance rotation at the moment. So, obviously, talents play a big part of this. We have a lot of things that affect Frostbolt they buffed this expansion, right? Death Chill wasn't a thing before. Cold Front, and Fracture Frost weren't really viable in single target, but now they're certainly increases in single target, and it's not really a good thing to cast Ray during Icy Veins Spellslinger when it doesn't generate splinters, and the more Frostbolt you force into rotation during Icy Veins, the more Death Chill stacks you get, so you just do more damage on all your passive effects. So, yeah. But, they literally made Icicles 2.0 with Spellslinger, where it's like, hey, what if we made you generate Icicles on only certain spells? What? You mean you don't want to cast the other spells when you could be generating splinters? Oh my god. Isn't that literally what we did with Icicles and Ice Lance beforehand when we had Glacial Spike and you just would never cast Ice Lance because it just didn't generate Icicles? You're telling me it does the same thing for all these other spells? What? That's crazy. Where'd that come from? I've never seen that before in my life. So right now for Spellslinger, it looks like you're not casting Ray in Icy Veins, you're not casting Comet Storm in Icy Veins. If you have a good fight timer, you just don't cast Shifting Power at all in the fight. But, yeah. This isn't your single target build, by the way. I just pulled that up for fun. If you want to look at the single target build, it would be this. So you don't have Splay Nice, Permafrost Lances, it's much harder for you to take AoE talents here, or, adjust AoE that's not you spamming Frostbolt to potentially get some cold fronts out. Not having Splay Nice is definitely a problem. But yeah. Anyway. We need talent attention, right? We need talent attention. These are 2 freezable things, which are fine. I think these talents are totally fine to have on our tree. We just, these talents are a little degenerate in any situation. Cold Front needs to just not exist. Death Chill I'm a little okay with. I think it's fine in AoE. It makes the most interesting parts of Frostfire less interesting. It's given you just ignore all your procs as Frostfire, just spam Frostbolt 5 times after entering Icy Veins in AoE with maintaining Blizzard Orb. You do the same thing as Spellslinger, but Frostfire has all its Frostfire Empowerment procs tied to casting Frostfire Bolt that give you all these bonuses, and you just ignore those bonuses, just get your Death Chill stacks up a little bit higher, which I'm not really a fan of. And I don't like this single target playstyle. And they just need to decide if they want to lean into Glacial Spike or if they want to, get rid of it. Personally, I think they should lean into it. You can always provide an alternative playstyle to people. They should have to work on providing an alternative playstyle to people because, adding Frostbolt talents to your tree is not going to make you not take Glacial Spike. There's no other talent you would take that would provide you anywhere near the value Glacial Spike currently provides, which stands for the Frostbolt playstyle. It stands for Spellslinger. Spellslinger barely Frostbolted, barely Glacial Spiked, and it was still a 5% single target DPS increase because our tree has no alternatives, really. Glacial Spike enjoyers want them to add the tier set from Dragonflight Season 3 and 4 in. They should do that for AoE. Makes Glacial Spike feel a lot better to play in AoE, and it just feels good in general. They want to work on making Frostbolt not our only resource generator that we have, active control over. They can add our Season 2 and Season 3 4 pieces to the talent tree. You can do it after Frozen Touch. You can do it as a choice node with Frozen Touch. You can do it, next to Frozen Touch. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But, that would give, Ice Lance a 10% chance to proc Brain Freeze, it would give Glacial Spike a 40% chance or lower, because that was a very strong talent. Whatever. That would just prevent a little bit of this with Spellslinger. Realistically, Spellslinger needs a full redesign. At the moment, it's a bit of an incredibly passive tree. All it does is make you cast, press Frozen Orb 30 more times in 5 minutes. That's really the only consideration. You never really notice the splinters happening as frost, and yeah, just you press Frozen Orb 30 more times. That's it. And then you just have all this passive damage making you want to do silly things. Anyway. This rotation's still changing a little bit, still getting updates. That's just how the APL works in general. Always has, always will, and with things like this, there's new things that come out kind of every day or every couple days. So I am planning to make, my Frost guide for 0.5 this weekend. I don't know how long I'll delay it. We'll see if things are still changing a little bit. But if you played MILF in Season 1 of Dragonflight, that is almost exactly how we were playing Spellslinger and Single Target Raid. Except, you're pressing Glacial Spike. Frostfire actually has a little bit different considerations, because while Spellslinger's, kind of isolating for some efficient Winter's Chill generation, because it generates too many flurries at the time. It wants more flurries, so it generates a lot of them, but in Icy Vein, sometimes it generates too many, right? Because you just have extra flurry generation there. Frostfire has, a bit different considerations, where it's mainly isolating around excess fire, so that's a different playstyle. But yeah, we'll cover all that later. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below.